Welcome to the Whiskey Explorer. Thanks so much for tuning in for another episode, guys. And if this is your first time to the channel, if you could please do us a quick favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below, let us know what you thought about the video, what you think about this bourbon, and we'll help grow the community here at the Whiskey Explorer. Alright, and tonight, guys, we have got an exciting bourbon. It's one that is actually pretty new to our market here. This is the Rabbit Hole Cavehill. Alright, so the Rabbit Hole Cavehill is a pretty interesting product coming from the Rabbit Hole Distillery. And this one here is their Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. But what's cool and unique about it is it's actually a 4-grain mash bill, and they state on the bottle that it's a small batch. Of course, small batch, we don't really know exactly what the batch size is, so could be a marketing term, but the 4 grains are pretty cool in this one. I'm going to read them from the bottle so I don't screw them up here. So it says, this bourbon consists of 70% corn, 10% malted wheat, 10% malted barley, and 10% honey malted barley. So pretty cool. It's got the wheat and the barley in the mash bill there. And then it says never chill filtered, as it should be. So non-chill filtered as well, which is fantastic. And it's actually bottled at a pretty good ABV as well. So this is bottled at 47.5% alcohol by volume, or 95 proof. And what is also cool about Rabbit Hole Distilling Company is that they're actually producing their own bourbon. So at this point, they actually have their distillery open. They're there in Kentucky, and they are actually making their own juice, which is pretty cool. So they've actually been doing their own distilling in-house since 2018, and prior to that they were contracted distilling, but they were actually using their own recipes. So this one right here, 2018, got a name change to the Cavehill. So they've got some references there that relate to different historical landmarks or things that are to do with the distilling world in Kentucky. This one here is called the Cavehill, which is actually a graveyard that has a lot of the famous distillers from the history of Kentucky in that gravesite. So yeah, the Cavehill, pretty cool. I really like the bottle design on this one. It's a pretty cool looking bottle as well. So yeah, it's cool to see what they're doing. So they've actually got 4 different expressions in their core lineup. They've got this, which is their 4-grain small batch bourbon, which is the Cavehill. Then they've actually got the High Gold, which is a high rye bourbon. And then they've got their rye. And then they've also got the Derringer. And the Derringer is a bourbon finished in PX sherry casks. So some pretty cool offerings from Rabbit Hole for sure. All right. Don't know the exact age of it, but on the back of the bottle here, it does say matured for over 3 years in new charred American oak barrels. And then on the bottle here on the back, it says bottled by Rabbit Hole Distillery, Louisville, Kentucky. So I actually think that this particular bottle right here was probably still when they were doing contract distilling, since it says it was bottled by Rabbit Hole Distilling. Just a guess, but not quite sure on that one, but yeah, let's get into the review on this guy here. All right, so let's have a quick look at the color in the glass here. The color there is sort of a kind of light to medium kind of amber color, not too dark in the glass there. So what's interesting about this one is that there isn't any rye in the mash bill. So we've got corn as the primary grain, of course. It has to be for bourbon. So it has to be at least 51% corn to be bourbon. And then you've got the wheat that's in the mash bill, and then the 2 different types of barley as well. So there's that honey barley in here, which is pretty cool. I haven't seen that in a bourbon before. So 10% malted wheat, 10% malted barley, and 10% honey malted barley. So yeah, pretty cool. All right. So let's get into the nose on this one. Cheers. Interesting nose on this one. This is actually reminding me quite a bit of that Yellowstone that I reviewed on the channel. I'll put a link to it up above here. The Yellowstone Select, that was a BC liquor store pick that I reviewed. And I'm actually picking up a very similar nose on this one. And what that nose is it's got a vanilla, but then it's got this kind of red fruit, but it's like not quite the deep, dark, rich ripe fruit. It's kind of like more of a new kind of flavor to it. So it's kind of like a punchy kind of fruit note. It's a little bit hard to explain that one, but it's almost like more of a fresh fruit, like, yeah, sort of like a fresh strawberry or like an underripe strawberry, something in that lines, or like a raspberry, something like that, those type of red fruits. And then there's some vanilla on the nose there as well. And then I really do pick up that nice honey note in there. It's really actually a nice inviting nose on this one. And talking price on this one, in our market, this one was $79.99 for the Cavehill. The Derringer was actually quite a bit more expensive at $100 here in BC. So yeah, the PX Sherry finish on the Derringer, that's going to bump up the price because they've got to get those special casks in to finish the bourbon in. But this one was $79.99. All right, let's go in for a taste on the palate. Cheers. Wow. That has got a really interesting palate. There is this rush at the very beginning of that fruit note that I was picking up on the nose. That's what's predominant here. It's almost like underripe cherries or underripe strawberry or raspberry, something in that kind of flavor profile. Kind of like a youthful kind of berry note to it. That's what's rushes up front. And that is actually pretty dominant on the whole palate here. Mid palate, you're getting a little bit more of the honey in there, a little bit more vanilla, a little bit of spice on the back end, like on the finish. So a little bit of black pepper, a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of baking spice and nutmeg on the finish there. Pretty interesting dram, actually. Yeah, I'm actually thinking that's really interesting. It's just, I think with that 4-grain mash bill, it's just so different than anything I've tried before. It's got a unique flavor to it, and I kind of dig it. So let's get into this for a second sip. Cheers. Really unique flavor to this one. Kind of fresh berries, cream, vanilla, butterscotch, caramel, a little bit of brown sugar mixed in there. A honey note that could be coming from that honey malted barley. And then it's actually like a nice, decent finish on this. Like there's about a medium finish. It kind of hangs around for a bit. I think the proof on this is kind of nice too. Like it gives you a little bit of a Kentucky hug going down, just a very slight one at that 47.5% ABV or 95 proof. But yeah, it's a very interesting and enjoyable dram. I actually like this rabbit hole. It's pretty cool, unique experience. And it's different than anything I've tried before with that 4-grain mash bill. So I do like that. And I'd recommend checking out Rabbit Hole. I am interested. We only got, we just got basically the 2 here. So we got the Cavehill and then we got the PX Sherry Finish one, the Derringer. And that's kind of all we got in BC right now. But I'd really like to try that high rye one, the High Gold. I think that would be a really interesting one to explore. So hopefully we'll see some more of them here. So just kind of noting on the finish now, I'm getting a nice kind of honey finish on that, really pronounced on the finish. So I wasn't getting it as much before, but now I'm really getting it on the finish. Really nice honey note that kind of hangs out there, and that's what's kind of left lingering on the palate. So on the finish there. So I really enjoy that. That's a good bottle right there. All right, guys. So thanks so much for tuning in for another review. Until next time, may your sales be full and your drowns be fuller. Cheers.